Hey everyone, Michael Anthony here. Van Halen, Chickenfoot, Sammy in the Circle. But anyway, you're listening to the only podcast that is dedicated to breaking down the entire Van Halen catalog one track at a time. And the podcast will rock. Ow!
Hello, baby!
Hey, what's up, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between? You have stumbled into another edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. We are the show that dives into the catalog, the discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. I am one of your co-hosts, Mark Kamier. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, how you feeling?
Oh, yes!
I'm feeling good, my friend. It's been a hectic week. It's been a busy week, and I'm ready to rock out tonight. I'm excited. We had a really good show last week, I thought. It was kind of poignant, kind of timely. We had a lot of great comments on our Twitter poll, which I'm hoping we're going to get to here right away. And I'm looking forward to a really good rockin' tune here tonight.
A good rockin' tune would be just what the doctor ordered. It has been a week. And sometimes when the week gives you a bit of some stumbles and some potholes along the way, every once in a while, you just have to ask yourself, why? Like, why would the universe give me such a week? And the answer is quite simple, because sometimes the universe conspires against you, and sometimes the universe has to manifest something into existence. And one of those things the universe has manifested into this show is this ongoing segment, this ongoing war, shall we say. Maybe not a war, maybe that's too strong of a word, but it's a thing. I'm speaking, of course, of the cult of Mariano, and led by our old buddy / nemesis, John Mariano. And because I bring it up, because the cult of Mariano always seems to be the contrarian sort of the other side to when you and I, Corey, are rocking out, when our guests are rocking out, we are having a really good time. It's always the contrary voices that we start to hear that start coming in large waves, and I blame the cult of Mariano. What do you think? Am I out of line here? Am I off base?
Let's ask the cult leader himself, shall we? John Mariano, who just heard that entire intro. What are your thoughts?
I'm not contrarian at all.
There he is, folks. He has made it back onto the show. John Mariano of Backtracks fame. How are you?
Oh, I'm terrific. Especially after that glowing review, and your insight was so grand, Mark. Like, where do you come up with this? Like, how are you pulling this out of your ass week after week?
Lots of practice and conviction.
I'm impressed. I see what Corey sees in you. I see why he does one show with you per week. This is show number 7 that Corey and I are working on this week together.
He's not even kidding. We recorded 6 episodes the last 2 days of the Aerosmith show, and I get my one dose of Mark Kamier. I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit. But then John showed up for this one too, so I just can't shake the guy. He's like a bad STD. He just always pops up.
But even so, it's the process of getting it. You have fun in the process before you realize, oh, it's an STD. And we always have fun hanging out with John. So, John, thank you for being here. All jokes aside, but some more serious matters. Exactly.
I was a little late on that one.
More serious matters. I bring up the infamous cult of Mariano, the cult that you started indirectly, John, because they always seem to come in when we put up a poll talking about the song that we covered the week prior. And Corey, can you tell us about what's going on for last week's episode, last week's poll for the song Crossing Over?
Absolutely. For those who maybe didn't hear last week's show, we did a song called Crossing Over, which was a song that was not commercially released here in America. It was actually on a B-side off of Balance, but it was released on the Japanese import And it's a song very much about dealing with the death of a loved one. It was very poignant in that, Mark was having kind of a rough week. I was kind of having a rough week. We were both hoping for a rockin' tune. Instead, we got this very poignant, beautiful little song. A lot of listeners kind of said the same, especially with Eddie Van Halen passing, that they really appreciated that song. The poll results at the end of the day were 77.8% for What Dreams Are Made Of, 22.2% This Dream Is Over out of 45 votes. So quite a few people downvoted this one. Now, we all know about the cult of Mariano. It's growing. I hear that they're applying for tax exemption status as they're going to be a religious organization officially soon.
Damn it.
Yeah, so I'm getting really, really worried. John, do you want to comment on how you sullied the results for this beautiful little tune?
I just simply show my people the way and they follow.
Yeah, just gonna let that one hang for a bit because that's the long and short of it. But I am curious, John, because we did not see. I don't think we saw a comment from you on this poll. Have you heard the song Crossing Over? And if you have, would you say it's What Dreams Are Made Of, or is the dream over?
So some comments are simply a thumbs down vote. And you did get my thumbs down vote on Twitter.
It was almost rhetorical. I just wanted to hear if you would, kind of backpedal and try to justify yourself. Shame on you.
Do I have to justify myself? I didn't even listen to the track. I just downvoted it.
You see? Confirmed. Yep. That's all I needed. That is all I needed. Confirmation. Goddamn cult of Mariano. But it is what it is. It's fine. Fret not. What we should take away from this is that usually when it comes to the polls, our audience tends to agree with mostly they agree with Corey, but when Corey and I are on the same page, they usually tend to agree with us. The majority do anyway, but there's always that select few that I just go, I don't know. Do you enjoy music? Do you not? It's cool if you don't.
But one thing we started last week, Mark, was we told people leave a comment on the poll and we'll read it on the show of what you thought of Crossing Over. So I just wanted to get through those right now if I could.
Let's do it.
All right. First up, we have Greg Zito. He said, I look forward to every Friday to see what you and the wheel will deliver. Big surprise today. I love that you included this rare tune. Only heard it once or twice. Interesting song by Van Halen during the grunge era. Very well said, I thought.
Very well, yeah.
Absolutely. Next, we have Will Leonard, who said, it's absolutely amazing. Take off Strung Out and Doing Time and put this one on balance, in my opinion. That's an opinion I share. Get rid of some of the instrumentals, especially Strung Out, which was just kind of fucking weird, and put this one on here. I think it was album worthy. So good call there, Will. Next, we have Gene Hickey. He says, I can't say I'd heard this one before, but man, what a song. Definitely sounds better with headphones. Good. Yeah, that was one thing we called out. They really should have left one of the three instrumentals on the cutting room floor and added this to the record. There's another vote for getting rid of Strung Out and putting this one on here. Our good friend Tom Armbruster said, I think there's a line between this song and some of the music on 3. It's different enough from Van Halen Status Quo to see where Eddie wanted to go, but still had those thundering drums and bass, which he put in all caps because he loves him some Michael Anthony. It's a bass to satisfy the fans. So another great comment from Tom. Michael Green, who is a listener of ours on the Aerosmith show as well, John, he said, dig the song, love a little darkness, Crossing Over makes you think. I hear you with a shitty week. As always, a great end of the week by having this podcast ready to go. Double fist bump. Thank you very much, Michael Green. Yeah, that was a great comment. Jonathan P. Todd said, one of my top 5 Hagar songs. So there you go. Could have been a hit. By the way, new drinking game, one shot every time we hear Manifest in a cast. Thank you for doing this. So you're going to be drunk within the first 20 minutes of a show, I think, because Mark and I like saying that a lot. And then Tom commented, Tom said, I listen to the show in the morning, so my drink would be coffee, but he's all in. So there you go. A new drinking game, podcast for rock drinking game. Absolutely. Mark
just
Fuller,
put a little espresso in it. It's fine.
There you go. Mark Fuller says one of their best, in my opinion, should have been on an album. There we go. Jim's Ragsdale, completely agree. I added it as track 13 to my Van Halen Balance track list on iTunes. I did that as well, Jim, so good call. Scott Everett said, good episode on Crossing Over, meaningful as we all lost Ed. And the song has extra meaning now. That's Why I Love You was actually a demo to the follow-up to Van Halen 3, which he's absolutely right. We're going to get into that as we get into more into Van Halen 3. We only covered a couple songs off there. Someone named Cheeky Alice. I don't know. Do you know her, Mark?
I do. That is my lady, Christy.
That is the most tolerant woman on the planet.
Absolutely. The patience of Job on that sweet dear woman. She simply wrote, "The intro made my brain tingle."
Well, I'm not going to disagree with any of those statements. So there we go.
All right. Thank you. Charles Johnson said, with most of the Van Halen stuff, unless it's a complete turd, hi, how may I say, how you doing? Or horrendous lyrically, musically, I am almost automatically inclined to go what dreams are made of. So definitely not a member of the Cult of Mariano. He said, but you can see why this is a B-side. Good song, though. So maybe not album worthy for Charles, but decent song. Definitely not in the cult, which is good. Anthony at Monkey Noodles. He's given us a lot of 5-star reviews on shows recently. I love this guy.
Thank you, Anthony.
Absolutely. He said, I had to look this one up as I'd never heard this track before. Really amazing song. Can't believe they didn't include it on the actual album. 100% agree. Jim Ragsdale, again, a very unique song written at a very unique time in the band's history. It's not one I listen to a lot, but it's one of the better B-sides I've heard of any band. A somber tone, but a further maturation in the Van Halen sound. Absolutely agree. And finally, I just want to call out our good friend Sean McGinty from the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast. He loves putting on our show on Fridays while he's walking his dog. And he actually had a couple of tweets here that were really nice. He said, I'd never heard this one before. And holy hell, I stopped in my tracks on my stroll with my pup to catch my breath. It really hit me. Things have been heavy lately with this subject matter, and it really echoed everything going on in my head. What a brilliant song. There is so much real in this song. It was impossible to dismiss just how important this song is. In fact, I added this one to my playlist on YouTube Music. Thank you both. Really need this one.
All right. I love that.
Yeah, a lot of great tweets on the poll this week, and nobody's coming out and admitting to being a part of the Cult of Mariano, but we know they're out there.
It's because we're on to them. We're on to them, and John's just telling them just to be hush hush.
Keep telling yourself, Mark. There's the first rule of the Cult of Mariano, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
And now we have the cult leader here, and now we're going to spit a song with him on here, and we're going to talk a little Van Halen. So what do you say, Mark? What are you in the mood for tonight? We got a lot of great songs still on the wheel, 95 to be exact. What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for either a big hit or the song that I want, like the song that I've been begging the universe, the wheel silently, and it's like, let me reveal it. Like, I want to hear the song. It'll come as no surprise once it's finally revealed, but I want to hear it and I want to discuss it. So that or a big hit. How about you?
You know what, for me, kind of in the same boat. We did our practice spin beginning of the night, and we spun Top Jimmy. Ooh, I could go for some Top Jimmy tonight from 1984. That'd be a great selection. But with John here, I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of hoping for a turd because I want to hear John try and defend it. Because if we both hate it, he's going to be the contrarian, even though he says he's not. So I want to roll something like Up for Breakfast and listen to John try and defend that one.
Oh, boy. What about you, John? Do you want to manifest something?
Yeah, I really
take a shot.
I really want to manifest so much right now. I'm working on manifesting and festering and manifesting again. No, but seriously, if we could get a little Brand New Key by Melanie, I would be very happy tonight.
I got that reference, did Mark?
Yes, I did. And respect.
And by the way, on behalf of all of Canada, you're welcome for The Kids in the Hall. Oh my God, what a series they just put out on Amazon Prime.
That's a free plug, but do yourselves a favor after the show, go on Amazon Prime and watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sources tell me that Melanie's got herself a brand new pair of roller skates.
Oh, God. And how many times is she going to tell you about that? Time will tell. Yeah, that was great stuff. Great stuff. So, all right, let's see if I wouldn't hold your breath too much, John, for that particular track, but you never know what the wheel's going to throw at us.
No whammies, and stop.
Okay, haven't rolled it yet. I haven't spun the wheel yet, but if you want to do that, when you hear the song Run Around, that's when you can do that, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Mark's cue to get ready to spin this thing.
Sammy, take us away.
Here we go.
All right, we're slowing down and coming up with, geez, we're talking about Van Halen 3. How about a Van Halen 3 track? From Afar.
From Afar.
Mark, do you have any recollection of this one?
I do not a single one.
All right, good night, everybody. We're not even gonna play it.
Going into this one extremely fresh. That's from this album. That's not going to be a surprise. So yeah, I don't know. This could be something intriguing. I am intrigued by the idea of it, but I'm also very nervous.
What do you find intriguing about it, Mark?
I'm intrigued to find out if this is going to be one that's going to I don't know, have some sort it's going to latch itself on to me and be like, you're going to like me whether you like it or not. Or I'm intrigued to find out if this is a dud.
You know, we've been saying for weeks, there's good stuff on this album. This is one, and Van Halen fans are going to shit all over. So you don't know this song? Like, no, I haven't listened to a lot of Van Halen 3. I know the hits. I know Without You and Fire in the Hole, and the songs we covered, like Dirty Water Dog, which remains our lowest rated episode, Mark, by far. So a ton of people aren't clicking on the Van Halen 3 songs, unfortunately.
No. See, that's very telling. So, you know, all the haters that want to tell us that like we're not even real fans of Van Halen is like, oh, okay, well, explain the numbers on that one.
I'll explain the numbers. That's pretty simple. Real fans, deep cut fans like Van Halen 3. More surface level fans probably don't gravitate to it. Now, we have 3 surface level fans here who aren't familiar with this song at all. But in defense of this song, because one of us needs to be that voice, this is an album for true Van Halen fans, because only if you love this band more than life are you familiar with this song.
But you know what? I'm going in with a completely open mind. I love me some Gary Cherone. I love Van Halen. Haven't been a big fan of the 2 tracks from Van Halen 3 we've covered thus far, but I'm really hoping for a great one here tonight. Mark, are you?
Maybe this is the one where I'm like, all right, Gary, nicely done. Maybe.
That would
maybe
be
not.
Great. We love Gary Cherone. Like, he is fantastic.
We do.
Extreme is one of my
Extreme is
favorite
great.
bands. Yep.
Gary Cherone did a lot of great work before he joined Van Halen.
It's absolutely true. Here we go. From Afar, from Van Halen 3. Of course, that was released way back in 1997, produced by Mike Post and Eddie Van Halen. So what do you say, Mark? Let's spin From Afar from Van Halen 3.
Take her out.
See you from afar, look into your eyes, that hint of death hidden inside.
Mark, what do you think about that beginning?
The beginning sounds like Eddie was literally just noodling around in the studio, not paying attention to anything whatsoever, and the producer decided to just click. Let me hit record real quick. You just keep doing your thing. Don't pay attention to me. Like, okay. And then, Alex decides like, oh, he needs a little bit of the hi-hat underneath this. Okay, cool. I got you. And then they just decided, hey, you know what? Let's just keep doing it. And Gary, when you feel like it, jump in with something. And he did. That's about as far as I got.
You know, I dig the guitar. It was a really slow intro. I was wondering if I'd actually hit play on the track, because it was like silence for the first 5 seconds. But
yeah, it was very low.
I thought the guitar sounded great. Gary has kind of a vocal effect on at the beginning of this, doesn't he?
It kind of sounded like it, or maybe it was just they put a lot of reverb on him. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell.
What did you think, John?
It sounded like an extreme song through the lens of like Eddie and Alex, right? Like it's not like, we're gonna do an extreme song, but Eddie and Alex are putting their little spins on it. It's a tough one for me because right now it feels like a hot mess, but we're only, like a minute into it or whatever, and it's not, I'm remembering why I was not a fan of VH3.
It kind of maybe started off a little bit like Song for Love from Extreme 2, right? Now that has a really great chorus, so I'm hoping once the chorus kicks in, we're going to get something similar to Song for Love, but it is kind of extreme interpreted by Van Halen a little bit, maybe.
I want to stop Corey right there.
Oh, shit.
Because, you know who Corey sounds like right now, Mark?
Who does he sound like?
Me halfway through watching Smallville going, he's going to get to suit and fly. I promise. Like, I know it's going to happen.
Oh, my sweet summer child. Well, you know what? He finally did, but the last episode of the show.
So what we're saying, folks, is that on the outro, Corey will get what he wants out of the song.
So it'll finally explode at the outro. Yeah. I know, it's like we're trying to be somewhat optimistic on this track and just in John fashion blow it right up.
I'm so depressed right now. I was happy earlier.
And then John made a Smallville comparison. I was like, why would you do that? Especially those later seasons. Yikes. Anyway, but I'm with you, Corey. I think maybe we might be in for something a little bit more exciting. At first this is kind of a drab sort of intro, but they've done stuff like this before, so maybe we'll be surprised.
Yep. Here we go.
If I cannot hear you from afar, whisper in my ear, rest assured that you are near. For the distance between us, as are the stars, I only have you in my imagination, just to love you from afar.
I have to get this out of the way because it's just gnawing at my brain. Gary's vocal, like whatever style he's going for here with this song, the melody that he is choosing to perform for this is not working for me whatsoever, and it's kind of driving me mad. Also, when Alex came in with the toms just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, that was jarring, just because I don't know, for a second it felt like he started a new song and like, no, we're still on this one. Like, okay, I got you. And then, it blended back together. But not a fan of what Gary is doing right now.
There's kind of some weird sound effects in there. I thought I heard like a gun cocked at some point and maybe fired, and some kind of goofy stuff underneath. And then lyrically, this is all just kind of flowery bullshit, isn't it? Like, if I cannot hear your name from afar, whisper in my ear, rest assured that you are near.
Were you saying, or would you say this is a kind of Roth-esque lyrics?
No, because Roth-esque I think would be better.
Yeah, you're right.
And I want to challenge, like, I get good, bad, better, worse. These are two styles that don't go well together. On their own, I think that they work great in the context of other artists working with them, right? But these artists working together, it's kind of like if I go to my fridge right now and I say, Mark and Corey, I'm going to make you guys a sandwich. I'll make you the best sandwich ever. It's have all the best ingredients. But I put Corey in one room and I put Mark in the other room. And I go and I ask them what their favorite ingredients are. And they sit there and they list them out, whatever they are. and I throw all of them on the sandwich together, plus some of my own favorite flavors, because why not? And that's kind of what the song is like, right? It's just a fucking hot mess.
Well, yeah, kind of like how David Lee Roth and Van Halen are like chocolate and peanut butter. This is kind of like dill pickles and peanut butter. Yeah, like you said, it's two great tastes that don't taste great together.
I got to kind of argue with you. I'm sure there's a pregnant woman somewhere going, that tastes good together. Like you got to go more extreme. It's probably more like peanut butter and like anchovies.
Are you suggesting that pregnant women will love this song?
That's exactly what he's suggesting.
I mean, why not, right? Like,
if they do, great. That's awesome.
But I'm also being very careful to not say it's not a bad song. It's an acquired taste.
Now, is it impressive musically, Mark? Like, are they doing something with the time signature that's maybe impressive that we can kind of put out and say, hey, that's really cool what they're doing?
I don't know if I would say impressive. They're not doing your regular standard sort of 4/4 time signature or anything like that. They're doing there's some variation, especially when Alex comes in. And as we've acknowledged, what Eddie's doing on guitar is really cool. A little sweet little medley with a little bit of or not a lot of it of the rock over on top of it. And then right before we paused, Eddie starts going off a little bit. He's not even doing a solo, but he kind of is, just with those sustained high notes on the guitar. So as far as time signature wise go, I wouldn't say they're doing anything overly complicated, no more than usual. So no, not that. Music wise, it sounds fine. It sounds like a later years Van Halen song, but I gotta tell you, I'm sorry, Gary. I'm coming for you on this one. Just what Gary is doing vocally is just not working.
I did like his last From Afar though. Before we paused it, I thought that sounded really nice.
That was probably the best part of it so far.
There's still time to redeem it, folks. We only got
That's true
left to go. All right, here we go.
Against your lips, taste the sweetness of your breath. If I cannot touch you from afar, hold you in my arms, keep you warm and safe from harm. Just love you from afar.
I feel like there was a huge legacy that Sharon needed to follow here. And I feel the pressure that he's under with every note he sings. Because it feels like a try too hard kind of song. And it feels to me like he is doing his damnedest to give everything he has to prove he belongs where the guys want him to be.
Yeah, I hadn't really interpreted it that way until John said it. But yeah, I think he's right. Yeah, there's a lot happening there. I think there actually is somewhat of a tempo sort of not a discrepancy, but they're playing around with their tempo a little bit while still maintaining a like a 4/4 time signature. But Alex and Eddie are just kind of, when I start playing notes, just I don't know, do what you want, and then I'll come back in and make up the difference. Eddie's not doing a ton of guitar work. He's doing, he's picking out the chords a little bit, but then he's just doing like one chug per phrase. He's got a delay pedal on, so you hear it twice. That dun 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 dun, whatever. But not a lot. He's not really doing a ton until there at the end before we paused again. There he goes with that. I'm gonna call it the prelude to the solo, because I'm assuming a solo is right around the corner. It has to at this point. And I think we need it. I think we need a solo. We need a rip-roaring solo for this song, because I need Eddie to save it.
And I'm not hearing a lot of bass in this. Are you, Mark?
Just the initial whenever Alex comes in with the tom roll, or not a roll, but like the toms, there's like that huge bass like sort of drop in it. But no, there's not a ton of rhythmic bass work happening whatsoever.
Do you guys think that there's not a lot of room for the instruments to fit around Gary because of what Gary's trying to bring to the song? Like, do you think that it almost feels like they're all trying to feel each other out, right?
Maybe so. Maybe they're trying to fill out what Gary's sort of how Gary approaches the music, the song itself, because they have Sammy and David for many years. We know how they operate. We know how we all operated, but they were also of different mindsets back then than they are or than they were here in the late 90s. So maybe maybe you're right. Maybe they were just trying to have a little bit more leniency instead of being like, just sing the song, Gary, just sing it, or here's the music, make it fit, or get out. I don't know. But maybe they were giving him a little bit of leeway to just sort of play around, feel it out, come up with something. But if that's the case, I don't know. Maybe Gary himself is being a little too timid on this song, which you listen to Extreme, there's nothing timid about that. So I don't know, man. I'm just, every time we listen to a song from this album, I'm trying my best to figure it out.
Well, I found some quotes that I found interesting. This first one comes from Gary Cherone, who said, and I quote, "I would have preferred to tour with them and then put out a record. It would have been a better idea to establish myself first and then hit the studio with the band. There are some great ideas and some little gems, but it was not a great record. I had fun, but at times it was like being a stranger in a strange land."
Well, there it is. There it is. And I 1,000% agree with him that, yes, they should have toured together first.
Yep. And Michael Anthony said, and I quote, "I don't know if Eddie was basically making a solo record, which is what Van Halen 3 seems to me." So there you go. But the guitar sounds great. Let's keep going.
It does, yes.
There must be a better way. A better way of passing the time. I can't seem to get around. Get out of my mind.
All right. So the first half of that solo for me reminded me of Spanked, which isn't a good thing. I didn't like that lower tempo and that just kind of plodding along melody. But the second half of the solo, I actually liked quite a bit. They picked up the pace. Eddie was playing tremendous, I thought. And I really enjoyed that second half of the solo. What did you think, Mark?
Corey, it finally happens. It finally happened. We have talked ad nauseum on this show so far, and we have so many episodes to come, but we have talked about how Eddie is very good at not only just playing a guitar solo. I mean, he breathed guitar solo. He shit them out, and he probably in his sleep could come up with some of the most rip roaring, just thrashiest solos ever, and we would all love him for it, even if it wasn't his best day. But he's also good at playing a solo that fits the song. And Corey, it finally happened. This solo does not fit the song. Not to me, it doesn't, especially that first half of it. That first half, he decided to go, he decided to do a doubling. He did doubling, and I'm not quite sure that was the right call. And by the time he got to the second half of it, it just, I don't know. I was checked out. So that's my thoughts on it.
Interesting. John?
I don't know if that's a fair criticism. I really don't. I don't know that there is a guitar solo that fits this song. This song to me kind of feels like it's Frankenstein together. And much like that guitar solo that felt very Frankenstein together, it kind of feels appropriate for a song that to me feels a bit like a mess.
For me, that second half of the solo was my favorite part of the song so far. I don't know if that's saying much at this point. I'm not tipping my hand, but I thought it was all right.
It's not to say that second half isn't like really good, because obviously I would watch Eddie play it all day, but like I said, by the time he got to it, I'm so checked out that I don't even care. Right. Because like that first half of it, I was like, I don't know what you're doing here, but I don't know that was the right call.
I have one thing to say, and after I say, can we go back into the song? But yes. I just want to make a point to everybody that I am ready to tip my hand, and my children can come follow me down the rabbit hole.
Just to love you. Just to love you. Just to love you.
Okay. Well, that's the thing we listened to. Gentlemen, that was From Afar from Van Halen 3. Should we start with John on this one and get his thoughts? The final verdict on From Afar?
John, you're the guest, so the honor is yours to start us off. Was the dream over for you, or is From Afar exactly what dreams are made of?
I mean, are we really going through the technicalities of voting here?
That's the show, buddy.
It's the show, man. Just go with it.
I mean, if it makes you feel better about life, if this was a dream, it would be over. But I want to express to everybody that I've never dreamt anything in the world like this. I remember my friends and I being excited for this album coming out to a degree, just because we were curious to see how the sounds would sound together. And I kind of remember the entire album going over like a wet fart. And that's kind of how this track went over, I feel like, for the three of us. But I don't want to spoil anything. So I don't know who wants to go next. Corey, Mark, which one of you want to talk about fart next?
Corey, we got that lovely description from John, but no shocker there. Yeah, very much so. But I have to ask you, From Afar, is it the dream?
Sorry, let's do that again. Fuck, I knew I hit it too.
No, that's so much funnier. Just go with it.
like the song we covered, my playing of the vote was a total clusterfuck. I didn't hate it as much as you guys. I found stuff in there I liked. I thought Eddie played great. The production was good. I could pick out some lyrics I liked, and I know we're going to get shit on by the guys who just absolutely love Van Halen 3. And I still maintain there's stuff on this album I like. This is only the third song we've covered on this podcast. And this, unfortunately, is not one of them. I'm not hugely hating on this song, but the dream is over on this one, unfortunately. And Mark, I can just guess what your vote's going to be, but why don't you give it to us officially?
It's a shame because looking at it lyrically, I think the lyrics are really good for this song. I'm assuming Gary wrote the lyrics to this, but if you didn't, then kudos to Eddie or whomever. But
probably Eddie. Michael Anthony says it sounds like an Eddie Van Halen solo record. So yeah, Eddie may have had a hand in the lyrics too. I'm not sure. Well,
very well. That whomever lyrically, I think it's really nicely written. Unfortunately, the melody that comes along with it for the vocals, Gary, maybe he just didn't know what to do here. But this was the best he could come up with given what the music was giving him, which, let's be honest, wasn't a whole lot. And so this is what he came up with. I don't know, but I'm not an expert here. I can only just judge this based on how I'm hearing it. And, being a musician myself, I can only interpret it the best way I can. And that's kind of what it sounds like. It's a shame because this does not demonstrate Gary Sharon's vocal ability to the best degree. You've heard us wax poetic about Extreme. He's amazing in Extreme. He's a great vocalist, wonderful musician. But every time we listen to a track from this album, I just get a little bit more pessimistic about it. And I don't know, I'm losing faith in that we'll find a diamond in the rough. John seems to think there's no such thing on this album, as he called it, just a wet fart all around. And maybe we're in for more wet farts as far as Van Halen 3 comes around, but you never know. There's probably going to be little things that we can enjoy about it. Like Corey said, Corey found some things to enjoy about this, not the whole picture, mind you, but little things. I wish I could say that I could find little things enjoyable. I mean, I liked what Eddie was doing at first, but then the more he kept doing it, the more I was sort of checking out. And by the time we got to the solo, I was like, yeah, I don't care. Just put it out of its misery, please. Not a banger, not a winner for me. It's kind of disappointing. And I'm losing hope in what's left of Van Halen 3. And I'm sorry.
The wheel was treating us so well, and then John showed up. Is this a coincidence? I don't know.
Well, to be fair, you did kind of ask for a stinker. You were hoping for a stinker because John was here.
A funny stinker, though. This one wasn't a funny stinker. This was, man, I want this to be good. Oh, it's just not that good.
It's just not that good. Yeah. Well,
because I keep guys on Twitter all the time, like Mitch LaFon, just rave about Van Halen 3. It's underrated classic. It's brilliant. All this other stuff. And God bless you, but I just don't see it. Like so far, 3 songs in, and I know there's good shit on here. We just haven't hit it yet. But the first 3 songs we've covered, man, just ain't working for me.
Different strokes. If Van Halen 3 makes you, the audience, feel alive, feel great, and you really dig the album, awesome. That's Absolutely. Great. We love that for you. And we would love to hear your argument on why, because so far, at least from what I'm hearing, and it sounds like Corey is with me here, it's not happening. It's just not happening. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad for the album, makes me sad for, it feels like we shit on Gary all the time. We're not trying to shit on him. He's just, I don't know. It just doesn't fit. He just doesn't fit on this album, but it's not all his fault either. There's some of the music is not really landing with me either, despite the fact that we know Eddie and Alex's and Michael's playability are top notch, but even the best musicians are not immune to a few stinkers or two. Yes, John?
No, but Gary kind of sums it up in his own quote, right? Like the band didn't play enough together to know each other well enough. And any defenders of this album, more power to you that you enjoy this album, right? Like, I do not fault you for enjoying this album. There are plenty of things that don't work for me and a lot of the masses and my anybody who wants to be in my cult, one of the prerequisites is you don't like this album, right? And it's not a knock on Sharon at all. Like, by all means, go enjoy Extreme to your heart's content. This was rushed. This was not well planned out. This was, hey, we gotta go. It was a fire drill basically, and they got together, and they were coming off of Sammy, and it was like, let's get something out to show the world that we're still Van Halen. And look, sometimes it's rushed and it doesn't work. The best artists have stinkers. It's okay.
Well said. That's all I got for that one. Oh man. So look, the journey is far from over, you guys, and Van Halen 3 still has more tracks we have not covered. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, my optimism on this is waning quite heavily, but maybe we'll find something as we go along. And even if we don't, we have a wheel full of other incredible tracks. I mean, some of the bigger hits we haven't gotten to yet. We've gotten to some, but not all of them. So those are going to be some fun conversations. Those are going to be fun episodes. And, sometimes, as you guys know, if you've been listening to us, sometimes we just don't have a lot of great things to say because sometimes the songs just don't land. But that's just how the wheel spins. That is just the way the cookie crumbles, and any other sort of thing there. That's all I got. This song hurt my brain that I can't even speak anymore. Corey, please tell the people where they can find us.
Yeah! They can find us online at the Podcast Will Rock. They can find us on Twitter at Podcast Will Rock. We'll have the poll up. What's your vote on From Afar? I'm very curious. I'm sure we're going to get some Van Halen 3 defenders out there who are going to say that we're out to lunch, and that's totally their opinion, and that's totally cool. If they dug this song, I'm very, very happy for them. It just didn't work for us, but I'm very curious to see how the poll shakes out on this one and what the comments we're going to get are, because I know there are a lot of fans of Van Halen 3, and like I said, God bless you. Let us know what it is about the song that you dug, and we'll read your tweets on the air next week.
All right. You can find me at Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. As Corey said, at Podcast Will Rock. That's where we are, and the podcastwillrock.com. Check out our site. If you ever miss an episode, it's all there. Get yourself some merch, get you some t-shirts, keep us alive, keep us afloat, because any little bit helps. While you're at it, make sure to tune into the Deep Dive Podcasting Network, the network we are a part of, for many other great podcasts featuring some of your old favorites, including Aerosmith, a little podcast called Backtracks, hosted by the two gentlemen joining me right now. You guys, you want to talk a little bit about Backtracks?
It's exactly like this show, except we use dice and we roll them, and then we talk about Aerosmith. And it's just Corey and I, and occasionally Corey suckers Mark to join us. Which he owes us a couple of appearances now, because here I am here.
That's true.
Supporting this show. Mm-hmm. But like, I love coming on this show. Look, whether it's a great Van Halen song, which most of them are, or we get a clunker like tonight, and I hope you hear that my criticism isn't like anybody in the band sucks, right? Because it's not that. It's that they did not work well together as artists. And that's when art sucks, or when art doesn't hit you, generally that's the reason, right? And that's, to me, why this album falls flat in general. I hold out hope that Corey and Mark trying to manifest some feelings of hope that this album gets better. I really hope that hope manifests a better song for them, but I feel like this entire album will manifest more wet farts than you care to admit.
I will put it in my manifesto.
That is a 6 count if you're keeping up at home. But that's what we do. We manifest a wonderful show. Whether the song we're talking about is a great one or not so great, that's what we do. We try to provide and manifest all sorts of great content for you, the listener, because you also want to manifest a nice episode. That's 9 for you. So have fun and don't drive home. But that's the show. That's it. On behalf of John Mariano and his legion of followers, and for Corey and myself, we are And the Podcast Will Rock, and we will rock you later.